Hello everyone, I am Candidate Master Atul Dahale and welcome to my Incredible Chess channel. The advantage in the opening is all about development. So guys, if you are leading in development, it means that you are having some kind of advantage right from the opening. And in that position, if your opponent's king is not safe, then you might get some decisive advantage. The game which we are going to see is a perfect example of how to play when you have initiative in the position, how to play when you have some developmental advantage in the position. So without further ado, let's get started. In this game, white player is Tartakower, black's name is Frentz Robert. It was played in 1933. The game started with c4, knight f6, knight c3 and now e6. Well, here in this position, if you want to go for the Nimzo Indian opening, then you can play d4, then followed by bishop b4 and so on. But here, if you want to trick your opponent, if you want to play something interesting, then you have a good move, that is e4. Okay, after e4, d5 will be played. Well, e5 is one of the options in the position, but here white decided to capture on d5, which is also a good move. E captures d5, and now here in this position, he finally pushed the pawn to e5 square. Black's knight is under attack, and knight d4 is a viable option in this position. Nothing wrong with this move. And just to let you know, I have played this position from white as well as black side, and I played knight d4 in my game. Well, the result was not in my favor, but I enjoyed the game. Well, here black decided to play d4, attacking the knight on c3, ignoring the threat of capturing on f6 by the pawn, but white captured the knight on f6, black also captured the knight on c3. Here white has two options. One is you can capture the pawn and play d4, or one other option is to capture the pawn on g7. Okay, Tartakower decided to capture the pawn on g7. Well, I just want to tell you that if this is captured, then black will capture on f6, d4 will be played, followed by bishop d6, bishop f5 and castles. Black is doing fine. So here Tartakower decided, why to allow all these things from black side? Why not make the position more interesting? That's why he captured on g7, forcing black to capture on g7 at some point. But before the bishop captured the pawn on g7, Robert decided to capture the pawn on d2 with a check. Now bishop captures d2, bishop captures g7, and now here he played queen c2. It all depends upon whose king will be safe. The idea is to long castle and bring the rook in the game on d1, where it will be putting some pressure on queen on d8. Well, here knight c6 was played, white played knight to f3, and now bishop g4, attacking the knight on f3. Any normal player would have played bishop to e2, but bishop e2 is not that great option because black might just castle in this position, which is a very safe square. And just to let you know, black doesn't need to capture on f3. Black can play bishop h5 followed by bishop g6, and these two bishops will be putting some pressure on white's queen side if he decides to long castle on that side of the board. But instead of all these things, white decided to just long castle and bring the rook in the game. Now the queen is indirectly being under attack. So here black captured on f3, g captures f3, and now he played knight d4, attacking the queen. Queen moved to e4 square, giving a check. Well, in this position, another option was also there. Rook e1 check was also one of the options, where it is quite compulsory for black to move the king to f8 square. If he plays knight e6 in order not to move the king, then he will be in slight trouble, I must say, because we can put more pressure on the knight on e6 by playing bishop h3. This is one of the option. Bishop c4 is also one of the option. So I think like black, instead of doing all these things, decided to just simply king f8. Okay, this might be one of the options in the position. And after this, bishop b4 check, king g8, queen e4, the knight is under attack, queen g5 check, and this position is preferable from the white side at any cost, because after even the queen exchanges in this position, this rook will be doing good job on the g file. This rook is also doing good job, and white has two bishops in this position. So I will prefer this position playing from the white side. Okay, fine. Coming back to the game, instead of rook to e1 check, white Tartakower decided to play queen e4 check. Now queen e7 was played, like offering the queen exchanges. He exchanged the queens here in this position, and now you might say that white had advantage, you said in the start of the game. That is right. White has advantage. His pieces are more free. His two bishops are also ready to come in the game very quickly. That's what he did. He first gave a check. Okay, both the bishops are pretty strong in the game. This rook will be coming on even square and black will be in trouble. One more thing I would like to tell you. When I started with this video, I told you this thing that king safety is also very important when it comes to the opening phase, because in the opening phase it is considered that if you castle, your king will be safer and you should go into the corner of the board where opponent's pieces are not able to attack on you. But if you keep the king in the center of the board, then it is like an invitation for your opponent to attack on your king and you might be in trouble. And exactly that is what happening in this position. The king is in the center and it is being attacked by white's pieces. King moved to e8 square, and to develop the bishop with a tempo, he played bishop b5 check. The point is, if you capture the bishop with the knight, then it is going to be checkmate after rook h1 check. Bishop e5 is the only move, but after rook e5 it's a mate. The king will be getting checkmated right in the center of the board because it doesn't have any kind of escape square on f8, because the bishop on b4 is sitting there. So I hope you are understanding that what happens when you have advantage related to the development. Okay, so here c6 was played. He brought the rook in the game with a tempo. This is something which I would like to tell you. Okay, I'll go back a little bit. Whenever you give a check and improve the piece position, okay, it is called as developing with the tempo, because tempo means what? The time. Okay, you are getting some time by giving a check. You are not allowing your opponent to do anything in that time period. So here bishop b4 check, king e8, and now in order to develop the bishop on f1, he gave bishop b5 check, c6, and now again he brought the rook in the game with a check. Okay, I hope you are understanding. Don't forget to like this video for all the interesting videos in future also. Okay, knight e6, and then now bishop c4 attacking the knight on e6 square. He played rook to d8, and now here he decided to capture the knight on e6. Rook captures d1, king captures d1, f into e6, rook into e6, and now after all these captures, white is pawn up in the position. Now it is kind of technical matter, I must say. White needs to push the pawn as much as possible. Another thing which is there in white's favor is the next move, that is rook on the 7th rank. This thing I would like to tell you that why rook on 7th rank is considered as a very strong piece. First things first, it attacks the pawns which are on their initial square. Means even if you push the pawn, you can attack the pawns from behind. Another thing which you can observe in this position is that opponent's king will be stuck on the final rank. It cannot come out in the game very easily. When it comes to the end game, rook's activity on the 7th rank is very important. Okay, because it restricts your opponent's king. It attacks the pawn on the initial square, and even if the pawns are moved forward, it attacks from behind. So it's very, very important. Another thing is that if you join your king into the attack, then it will be a very great position for you. So Tartakower was also the master of all these things, you can say, and he took advantage of all those things. So here bishop captured the pawn on b2, he captured the pawn on b7, the pawn on a7 is also under attack. He played bishop to d4, supporting the pawn on a7 square, as well as this bishop is controlling or supporting the rook on h8 also, because here in this position, even if you give rook b8 check, it will not be that much useful because rook is being supported by the bishop on d4. Okay, so here I think you should pause the video and think, what will you play from white side here? Tartakower find out a very interesting move in this position, and I hope that you thought about the position and came up with the move. The move is bishop c5, a very good move. The point is, now if bishop captures on c5, of course rook b8 check and the rook on h8 will be lost. And in this position, if you don't do that thing, the pawn on a7 is going to fall. If the pawn on a7 falls, this pawn is a passed pawn. This pawn was already a passed pawn, and black will be losing the game very soon. Well, here after this move, he played king c8. Rook captures on a7, still the threat is there. If you capture here, the rook a8 check, whatever you play, the rook on h8 will be gone. So you don't have any time to capture the bishop on c5 square. He played king b8, further attacking the rook over here, but now this bishop can just capture the bishop on d4 because there is support on this diagonal. Okay, the game is almost over. Rook d8 attacking the bishop on d4 square, but white doesn't need to worry. He got plenty of pawns in the position. He captured the pawn on h7, rook d4 check, king to e2, and king e3 is coming. This pawn is going to be pushed forward and the game is going to get over very soon because he has plenty of pawns to push forward. He has one pawn, but that will not be that much enough in the position. He played rook a4, attacking the pawn on a2 square, but he ignored that threat. He played h4, rook captures on a2, then king e3, king c8, he played h5, the pawn is rolling towards the h8 square, that is the queening square, baby queen you can say. King d8, h6, king e8, and now he played rook c7, attacking the pawn on c6, king f8 was played, he played h7, the idea is to give like pawn the queening square, rook a3 check, and now king f4. The rook cannot really stop the pawn from queening, the king cannot stop the pawn, and that's why here Frentz Robert decided to throw in the towel. He resigned the game and Tartakower won a very simple and incredible game. I hope you enjoyed the full video. Do share with your friends, and if you are new here, subscribe to my channel. If you are looking for chess coaching, then you can contact me on incrediblechessacademy@gmail.com, and I'll be meeting very soon in next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. Take care. Love you all.